Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I make a video and it goes to Facebook, I was just on with Rob Hunter, who does Death Raider. That is just phenomenal. That looks so good. I can't wait to get that comic. So I just posted it, and then 10 minutes later, I get a copyright claim from Benny Haha TV saying that it's their video. Every video I make, it's them. And every video, I dispute it. And every video, 25 minutes later, they release their claim and it goes to me. Why doesn't Facebook investigate these people? They're scammers. They just claim everybody's videos. And I guess some people just don't catch it or don't know what to do or just are tired of, and then afterwards I message Facebook and tell them, you got these scammers just claiming that I'm using their copyright. How is me and Rob Benny Haha's video? So I'm a little angry because I'm tired of doing this nonsense every freaking video, and I'm gonna have to do it after this video too. So anyway, it's clobbering time. I just showed the trailer for Heroic Tales #1, and I have in my hand the proofs of the comic. So it is done. I know that David Alicia just said John's is next. After that, I got a hustle. Can't be burned on 2 projects. That suck. This I give a non-suck guarantee. You don't have to get every cover. It's $10 for a comic. These are the physical proofs. So there's a little details that are wrong that are going to be fixed on the official versions. Oh, you just got the Gustovich cover. So you just got this cover. Look at that. See, there's this sticker over here. This sticker, for those of you, it has the number on it, so the account number. So if I, go ahead with this number, the printers don't care what the comic book is called. They just, the batch and everything like that. So this is the actual numbers that the printers will use. And then they put the sticker on that I've been trying to peel off. Not that I'm going to sell this or anything like that, because it's got imperfections. But if you are making a comic book, get a physical proof. Get the physical proof, because I approved the digital version. But then you can see that this line up here, like the back cover, it goes full bleed. It goes to the edge. The front, there was this line over here and over here that I just didn't notice in the digital. And then I was talking about this with Rob. This page, the dialogue is off. The sound effects, the dialogue, the captions, the thinking, it's all off. And to me, that was important, because this is explaining how he's using his powers. I keep talking about how when I wrote a script, I wrote 3 panels. These are the 3 panels that I wrote, and then Renzo added these little panels, and it really works. But because there was no, when I sent this to the colorist made his face getting burnt by I was like, no, he's going into space. He's actually getting covered with frost. So we had to recolor it. And I think I sent the wrong files or whatever, because whatever, and it just caused there to be no letter. So I didn't notice, when I was reading it, looking at it on the screen, but you notice in the print, and there's one mistake that's going through because it's getting printed. So there's one mistake. If anybody can, there's actually 2 mistakes in the comic. If you can find both the mistakes, you'll get a no prize. So there's 2 errors in the comic. I know about them already, and can't be fixed. One of them's kind of tough to notice, so maybe nobody will notice. Now that I said that there's 2, people are going to go through with a fine Sherlock Holmes magnifying glass and find my 2 mistakes. One of them's pretty easy. I'm embarrassed that I let it go through. I saw your views came back strong. Congratulations. Thank you. The digital tiers are all out. I put messages on Fund My Comic. I put messages on Kickstarter, and I put messages on Indiegogo. A few people weren't able to access that. We worked it out. So I stopped getting messages. So I assume everybody who digitally backed the comic has the comic. A few people have been writing reviews already. So a few people, I just got distracted by a comment. A few people have been telling me how much I liked it. So that's always good. I mean, I'm biased. I think it's great. But what do you want me? Oh, so you got the Michael T. Gilbert cover. So you got the Michael. This is my wife's here. You know what's funny? Okay, so I'll show. This is the Mike Gustovich cover. This is on Indiegogo right now. This is the Renzo cover. I call this cover A. This is the Pat Broderick cover. This is only on Fund My Comic. And I call this the Daddy cover. I had no intentions of making this the cover because this is the back cover. I had no intention to do it, but a lot of people were like, dude, if you make that the cover, I'll buy another copy. So got to give what the customers want. And then this is the Michael T. Gilbert cover. The funny thing about this is my non-comic book friends, my normie friends, this is their favorite cover. And I realized, that they're the same age as me, and they haven't read comic books from when they were kids. So that harkens back to the way comic books looked when they were kids, and they like it. My wife likes it as her favorite cover. A couple of my friends from work like, yeah, that's my favorite, But I if you've been reading comics continuously since you're a kid, they're like whatever cover. I don't have a favorite. I just like so many covers. I like them all. It's hard to pick. I like them all. So let's address all the chats. Okay, RRNT is already into the clobbering time. I don't want to get into that just as of yet. But if you click here, you can get my comic Heroic Tales on Indiegogo. If you click here, you can get my comic on Fund My Comic. You can get all of the covers except for the Gustovich cover. The Gustovich cover, as of right now, is only on Indiegogo. When Indiegogo closes in 11 days, I'm going to bring the Gustovich cover to Fund My Comic, and then it'll stay in demand for forever. Oh, we already just this. Yeah, you won't get burned. You'll like it. It's a complete story. 2 complete stories, a complete patriarch story, and then a complete story of a character called The Suit. So there's Heroic Tales, and then there's Unheroic Tales. If you back it, you're going to get 4 cards. And my phone's ringing. It's always ringing whenever I go live. And you're going to get some stickers. So here are the stickers. I made stickers. So everybody gets a Patriarch sticker. Oh, I'm spinning the wrong one. And everybody gets a Heroic Tales sticker. I didn't even put them on my fridge yet because I want to make sure that I have enough for all the backers before I waste them on myself. I got a t-shirt made. I got a resin mini being made. That's for the second campaign. Zach Dan's my phone. Jeez. Phone's gonna ring. Zach Dan, hi y'all. The platform really need to clean up their policies. Which platform? Fund My Comic, I think is flawless, as far as the policies are concerned. But Indiegogo, why accept somebody on your platform and then shadow ban them? It just doesn't make sense to me. I saw that your views. Okay, we saw this. Marcus, you coming in? My co-host. Save the proto issues. Could be worth something. The proofs. The imperfect proofs. Boy, can I just get it from you? I live in New York and you have to sign. Yeah. I have no shame. You want to drive down here, buy one at my door? It'll save me the trouble of mailing it and a Gemini mailer and everything. Yeah. Meet me at my favorite diner or something like that. I have to go get another one and have you sign it. When I get all the comics, I don't like autographed comics. I really don't. But I know people do, and and I know some people charge for autographs. But who am I? Sign my comic, don't sign my comic. It's not going to change its value. But if you do want me to sign it, I'm going to make an announcement. Fulfillment is about to start. If you want me to autograph it, say something, and then I'll sign it. If you want it, if you don't want it, I won't. Either way, I'm not going to charge. Who am I? You're not going to put it on eBay for $100. You know what I mean? And if that's the case, then I'm going to put some on eBay for $100. You know, so I'll give everybody a chance. Unfortunately, I can't get Renzo to sign it because I would have to mail to him, and it took 2 months for me to send him comics, and then to come back. And he says there's no guarantee that he'll actually get them. So, you know, the only realistic thing is I said this, and I'm 100% serious. If I make it to 10,000 on the next comic, I'll fly Renzo. He'll stay here, and we'll sign comics, you know, during fulfillment. I don't think Batman can. Okay, so we're talking about Batman. I don't want to get into that one yet. Hey, K-pop. I got the T. Gilbert one instead. Okay, cool. It's all good. Is there more comment? Oh, Great Gold Worm says, "Hail, John." Marcus is putting in my links. Thank you, Marcus. Harrenberg. Hey, just came from guest docenting at the Collections in Black exhibit downtown, August Wilson Center. Entire gallery full of original comic art of Black characters are worth. Oh, cool. That sounds interesting. Was that out in Pittsburgh? Graham Newell drew Spider-Man vs. Batman. It was brief and a draw. I was talking about false. Yeah, this Benny Haha TV. They claim all of my Facebook. You know, because I stream to Facebook, to X and YouTube, and I hit. You know, I hit end. It goes onto Facebook, and then within 5 minutes, Benny Haha has claimed copyright infringement on my Facebook. Every freaking video, and every video I have to dispute it. It's just getting really freaking annoying, you know, to the point where I don't even want to stream on Facebook anymore. It's just a pain in the neck. I'm in StreamYards, but I'm getting a black screen. Oh, okay. I just realized I didn't send anybody the invite. Marcus, that's my fault. Okay. I probably sent you the invite to the Rob talk. So I'm going to star this. So if anybody wants to come in and talk with us, sorry about that. I forgot to send Marcus the invite, and then I forgot to put the link to the invite, and I think I sent Marcus the wrong one. I apologize. There we go. Sorry about that. I must have sent to the Rob talk.
There we go. Well, no, there wasn't one. Hey, everybody.
Oh, and we got a third co-host tonight. How you doing, Harrenberg?
I used the link that's in your description, and that was
Marcus.
Oh,
hey, Harrenberg, how you doing?
Hail, Marcus. I don't know what I did. Good. I just posted. I just came from. There's a really good comic book exhibit. It's probably the best one that's ever been done in downtown Pittsburgh. It's called Collections in Black. There is a DJ here who has collected tons of original art of Black characters and by Black comic artists, and he put it all in a big exhibit, which a very smart curator put together downtown at the August Wilson Center. That's the African American Museum, and yeah, it's just like mind blowing up there. Like you got everything from like Matt Baker Baker. Yeah, and up to modern stuff. Larry Stroman, J. Scott Campbell did a Black Panther and Storm. But yeah, there's a whole wall of Black Panther stuff. There's a bunch of first appearances in cases that this guy owns. There's a whole bunch of really good art on the walls by like about 7 or 8 prominent Black artists. Nothing by Brian Stelfreeze, surprisingly. But anyway, yeah, and yeah, they're even gonna put out more stuff. He has original art from the Milestone days. Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing overall. I was a guest docent today, and I'm going to be there tomorrow helping out, guide people through the exhibit and stuff. It's really good. Yeah, it's just something downtown at the August Wilson Center in Pittsburgh. And, yeah, it's
cool.
It's pretty good. All the Comicsburg guys have been involved in helping Big Phil, who's the DJ that owns all this stuff. He's basically like a whale, right? For the past 2 or 3 years,
there's no fat shaming on this channel.
No,
Yeah,
you know
really.
what I,
Being
you
a
know what I
fat
mean.
guy,
Whale,
I'm not gonna-
he
John's
buys a
former
lot
fat
of
guy.
expensive.
I am a fat guy.
No, he's not. He's not Tobias Whale. He's just a whale who buys a lot of original art. He goes to OAX in Orlando, which is the main original art expo, and picks up stuff from the likes of Larry Stroman and a few other artists. And yeah, he exhibits them, and then he borrows from some other people who collect black comic art, and he put together like this just slamming exhibit, 2 floors of just comic book history from the 30s up until now. Yeah. Anyway, I just came back from that. Yeah, I was impressed.
Okay. I'm just annoyed because this Benny Haha TV, they just claim.
Who the hell are those people?
I have no idea. I looked them up. I can't find them. But BANANIHA TV. They claim every one of my videos on Facebook, and I have to dispute them every.
What is it? Banani Haha?
Yeah.
Benny Hanna.
I'm sorry. I was glad that you were talking because I was just filling out a form. But anyway, let's address some of these things in the chat. I'm sorry. I just
there is a TikTok channel called Banani Haha.
BANANINHA TV.
Banani. Okay. That's Bananina. Yeah. And that's Portuguese banana candy.
Well, they claim every one of my videos, and I got to dispute every video that I make to the point.
I don't know. I don't know if it's the same people that make the candy, but Bananina is apparently a Portuguese banana candy bar. Bananina. Yeah, I don't know if it's related, but sorry for your troubles there. That sucks.
Oh, I guess I'm into it. Oh, okay, so since I made your intro, could you sign mine for free? I'll sign anybody's comic if they want. See, the way I already explained my stance on it, nobody's gonna, you're not gonna get a copy of my comic, and then all of a sudden it's autographed. It's gonna go on eBay for $500. Because if that's the case, I'm doing it too.
Well, why don't you sign it, Ethan Van Skyver?
I'll sign it, Marcus Pellegrini. So if you
I'm famous.
If you want me to sign it, I'll sign it. I'm not going to charge. Who the hell am I? I'm not going to charge. I wish I could get Renzo to sign it because to me that's the signature that's worth money. But like I said, I can't mail things to Mexico and have it back. It'll just add 4 months to delivery. Greetings from Raleigh, North Carolina. Everybody
I didn't
say
go to Raleigh today. I went to Clemson.
Hey Marcus, you got a birthday coming up soon.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Oh, happy birthday. Hi, Lord Zart. We didn't start the fight yet.
I'm not going to say. I want you to guess how old I'm going to be.
54.
Nope. Older.
How old?
59.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I thought you were slightly older than me, so there you go. You're in and around Charlotte, correct?
I'm in Charlotte, yeah.
Right. Okay.
I'd like to go visit there. I haven't been down there. Oh,
it's a fun city. Very clean downtown.
Yeah, it is.
Cleaner than Pittsburgh downtown.
I just got another sale. Thank you.
We enjoy it here. Everywhere is Charlotte though, so that uptown where the convention is very clean.
Oh, Smokey's still older.
Really?
No, you're not older. You're just wizened and experienced.
Marcus, did you do okay with the hurricanes?
Oh yeah. It was just really windy. We didn't lose power or anything. It rained terribly, but it was really Western. I do have properties that my work fixes up in Western.
Yeah, Zach Tan. I don't necessarily like to focus on race either, but the collection was just unbelievable. Like it's mind blowing.
Just to see really Matt Baker. Like I post the romance covers, and right now I'm in the middle of Jose Garcia Lopez.
Yeah,
so they really didn't draw any of those covers. They're just the company just cut out panels and made a cover out of them.
So Matt Baker's Phantom Lady and similar art that he did was one of the things that pushed people towards the comics code. Was just too sexy. So there were two major comic artists in Pittsburgh in the 30s through the 50s that the guy showcased at the beginning of the exhibit. One of them was Matt Baker, who of course did Phantom Lady and other such pinups, and the other was Jackie Orms, who did a romance book called Torchy. Torchy is like, she's like a hot black girl with kind of what do you call it? Flapper hair, right?
Yeah.
She looks like a flapper. And so, yeah, it's her adventures in a comic or in a comic strip. So, yeah, they showcase those two early.
I got a hardcover collection of Torchy. They're really good.
So that's Jackie Orms. She's from Pittsburgh originally.
Yeah.
And she worked for the legendary black newspaper, The Courier. But then she moved to Chicago and started working for the black paper there called The Tribune. So that's like in the 50s and stuff. It's very good history. Yeah.
All right. So it's Clobbering time. And this week we're going to talk about Batman versus Spider-Man. And Marcus, do you want to pick your champion this week? Who?
I guess I'll pick Spider-Man.
Okay. Tell us about Spider-Man.
Oh, you probably want Spider-Man. I'll pick Batman.
Okay. You pick Batman.
I know that you don't like Batman so much.
I like Batman fine. So good. You're going to take Batman. So I'll
but we all know the history of Batman. Bruce Wayne had both of his, not absolute Batman had both of his parents slain by Joe Chill, not the Joker. That's a movie thing.
Right.
And that made him a bitter young man who, from the age of 8, started working out to become the top physical condition. And in the old 1939, 1940 comics, it took about 2 pages, and he was an Olympic level athlete, and he's sitting in his smoking jacket, in his room and pondering what he's going to do to exact revenge upon the criminals. And a bat flies through his window, and instead of him getting like slashed by the window shards, he says, "I know, I'll become a bat to strike fear in the hearts of all criminals." And he became Batman.
And what is it? Criminals are a cowardly and superstitious.
Criminals are a cowardly lot. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm doing this off the top of my head. I didn't read it.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
So he at the beginning, of course, they had him in a car. There was no Batmobile. There was just him in a regular bat suit, which is not unlike this one, except it was just a black bat and weird kind of.
Oh yeah, let me get an original
and stuff and rolled up things, and he killed most of his first 12 issues. He killed most of his. He didn't shoot it. Well, he did use a gun early on, and he threw people off roofs because back in the golden age, they were a lot rougher than superheroes are since. And then he became, that was debuted in Detective Comics. He was so popular, he got his own title. It was an answer to have kind of like they wanted to create another Superman. And they keep saying Bob Kane created him, but the truth is more than likely Bill Finger created him. The writer. There he is.
I love that.
Yeah, I like it too.
I love the round belt, the purple gloves. I don't know. It's so cool. And the ears are the only thing. I guess I'm just used to the ears like this.
The artwork, and Kane did do some of the early artwork. Everybody says he didn't do any work. He did do some of the work, and soon ghosts like Dick Sprang and Sheldon Moldoff did most of his work for him. And it was pretty rough, and but there was a charm about it. There was a rough charm about the early Batman and the early Superman, even though they weren't drawn very sophisticated.
Yeah, and didn't Finger only get credit over the past few years after his granddaughter fought for it?
10 years or something.
Yeah. His granddaughter fought for it. I saw interviews with her from YouTube.
And he also had a hand. Phil Finger also had a hand in Green Lantern too.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, he died penniless because he was an alcoholic.
Oh, that's terrible.
And then so within a year, Batman was so dark that DC decided that he needed something to lighten him up, and he also needed somebody to talk to. So that became the kid's sidekick. Kids' sidekicks were popular at that point, Robin. And if they created Robin today, they'd call him gay. But back then, nobody thought that stuff, which is nice.
Well, one guy did. What's his name? Werner.
But wait, it lasted until the 50s, though. Nobody really thought
What was the psychiatrist's name?
Frederick Wertham.
Yeah, Werner Wertham.
Yeah.
Frederick Wertham, yeah.
And then he became known as the world's greatest detective, particularly in the 60s. And he went through from the dark Batman to the lighter, more superhero Batman to the sci-fi Batman of the 50s. or the wonderful Dick Sprang comics where he fought amongst giant dinosaurs and pianos, and and all that stuff was a lot of fun, but not really Batman. And that light Batman, superhero Batman, became part of Justice League, and then he started kind of not selling so well. And then the TV show came and repopularized Batman. But he never had superpowers. He always was the best fighter or the second best fighter. They didn't make a big deal about martial arts back then, but he always beat all his characters. When Julie Schwartz came on, he got the yellow oval, and Carmine Infantino started drawing half of his comics and got credit for it. And then they started having some. Then he was the world's greatest detective. He was figuring out mysteries. He was beating up bad guys. And finally, on The Brave and the Bold, Neil Adams took him over and changed the scripts from daytime strips to nighttime scripts, putting him back into the dark original theory of Batman, except drawn like Neil Adams, which is like really awesome and much more realistic. And then everybody kind of knows and Batman fell back into another rut. But at that point, Neil Adams' Batman was like the James Bond Batman. He went around the world fighting Ra's al Ghul. And so he's pretty, he could do almost anything, but he never had superpowers. And he was always the world's greatest detective. But he finally became the guy who, if he prepped enough, he could beat anybody. And that's only been, to me, the last 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
It made him a psycho after Dark Knight. It's not Frank Miller's fault that he made a comic that was that popular that everybody decided to make Batman a psycho. He was never a psycho.
No.
And it was supposed to be an Elseworlds. But that's about it. And, he has the Batcave, supercomputers, Batmobile, Batcopter, Batshark repellent, all that stuff. The best artists in the world have all taken their crack at Batman, from John Byrne to Jim Lee to Jim Aparo, Neil Adams.
In order to go around the world, he needs the Batplane too.
A Batplane, everything because Bruce Wayne is unbelievably rich, and in his Bruce Wayne persona, he's gone in and out of being a regular character, a non-character, a character with girlfriends. My favorite Bat run might be the Steve Englehart, Marshall Rogers, Terry Austin. That was kind of a fully realized Batman without a lot of fill-ins.
What's your favorite
Neil Adams
Bruce
really
girlfriend? What's your favorite Bruce girlfriend?
Silver St. Cloud at that time.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, those are really good comics. And that was the basis. That Silver St. Cloud Batman and Neil Adams Batman.
Yeah, that was good.
Really based for the Batman, with a basis with a little Frank Miller thrown a basis for the Batman '89 movie. Yeah. Because that Vicky Vale was much more like Silver St. Cloud.
She was.
So and then he became out all the movies that everybody remembers, and they've made him kind of a psycho, kind of really harsh, dark character. But now he has a Bat family with.
Well, it went full circle because Batman was that goofy Adam West Batman for a long time. And I told this that I was right out of high school. I started working for the phone company, so I was working in Manhattan. So this is '89, and I'm working in Manhattan, and I'm telling the guys, "Oh, I can't wait! There's a Batman movie coming out." And they're like, "Yeah, Michael Keaton's going to be Batman. It's going to be freaking hysterical. It's going to be so." And I'm like, "No, it's not. It's going to be dark." Because these guys don't read comics; they just know Batman from Adam West. So, I couldn't convince these guys that it was going to be a serious, action movie. They were like, "It's going to be so much funny that whatever." And then when the movie came out, it was a phenomenon. So I remember in the movie I saw it in the Hamptons, and I was with my friend Phil, and I just remember going, "Bat cheese." That was my one word review of the '89 Batman. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at the time, but I do recognize that it was a phenomenon. It changed Batman from the hokey Biff Pow. When was the last time somebody in the news talked about Batman and they went pow, bang, whiz? That was the standard before that movie.
That was the one movie. I had a comic guy, a retailer I went to on the week. He was only open on weekends. That was the one movie that drove comic sales.
Right.
Batman drove comic. That Batman '89 drove comic sales. Every movie
sold toys. It sold.
Doesn't really draw comics. Avengers drove it a little bit. I know Marvel. We could all talk about how they messed it up, And that Iron Man and that more early MCU kind of drove it, but still not as much as Batman. It was a big deal, and that was the time when Legends of Batman came out with the different colored covers. And
Batman
DC really,
Batman had a Detective Comics and Batman comics, and then there was Shadow of the Bat, Legends of Bat. You know what I mean? Like, and then miniseries.
That really drove people to get Batman. Of course, you went into the comic store and you saw something that was semi-similar to the one. I mean, it had the circle and it was similar enough. It wasn't exact. He wasn't a woman, you know.
Well, I mean, Batman. You're talking about '89,
right?
Batman '89 basically saved DC Comics.
Yeah.
I could see that.
It really did. And, you know, for even now, Batman is their number one books. That's their big sellers. Batman is always, they did it right where Batman is going to sell. Now, I had a completely different experience in '89 because I was in the Army in Korea. So I saw, when they ran the trailer in Korea, it was a dark trailer. It wasn't like, you know, when they ran that trailer, we were like, oh, okay, we got to check this out. So it was a completely different experience over there.
I want to ask a question that I didn't even think of until just now. Did the what year did Superman come out? 78?
70, I think 79.
79. Did that drive Superman comics?
Not as much as
not
Batman.
as much. But again, I think when it came to Superman and it comes to Batman, it's still the same thing. Everybody loves Superman, but everybody buys Batman.
I can't disagree with that comment. Not one bit.
However,
my brother will argue that Batman's better, but he hasn't bought a comic in 30 years. You know, I think you're right.
Batman Detective Comics has always been on the like in the 60s, and Batman itself before the TV show was on the edge of cancellation. And in the 70s, Detective Comics was on the edge of cancellation until they merged it with the Batman family, because Batman family is fairly popular. And so Batman, and so he's had his ups and downs. I'm not sure we could say the same thing about Superman, but now what James is saying is there is no doubt. The last 40 years, I mean,
everything Batman changed in '89 for Batman.
Yeah,
'89 was the year it changed Batman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, Frank Miller, okay, and all that. But I'm saying for really getting it mainstream, becoming the juggernaut is today. Batman is a juggernaut.
Yeah,
I mean that's what it did. I mean,
absolutely. It like I said, people took him seriously.
You're right.
Before we get deep into the weeds, I just wanted to address. Dave Alicia said, "Oh, John, for your information, Chez Josephine is a nice place to eat. It's expensive. One of her adopted children owns it. It's in my hood." I went to Chez Josephine with Vaughn Coleman on Friday night of Comic-Con, and I got to say, I got the best steak I've ever had in my life. It was awesome. Food was awesome. It's a bit expensive. It's right by Midtown Comics, so you're right by Times Square in Manhattan. But it's a French restaurant, and I doubt the authenticity of the Frenchness of it. But service was terrible, but the food was absolutely delicious. So in case anybody's seen that comment and didn't know what we were talking about.
The service was terrible because you were with Vaughn. Come on.
They wanted to stay away from. They wanted to stay away from. The way we were upstairs, everybody else was downstairs. We were upstairs by us. I think they just forgot about us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here is a controversy: long ears or short ears? Before we get into the serious debate,
depends on who the artist is.
I think I agree with James.
I like the short ears. Like, why can't I think of the artist?
Well, Jim Lee does it with short ears.
Who?
Jim Lee does short ears.
Jim Lee does it really good with short ears. But there's another guy that I'm thinking.
David Mazzucchelli.
Maybe, but like Kelly Jones does it like extremely.
Yeah, Kelly Jones.
Might as well be rabbit ears.
Oh, who did the Son of the Demon?
Jerry Bingham.
Yeah, he did a great job with long ears.
Jim Aparo did the long ears really.
Yeah, he did.
Neil Adams.
And Jim Aparo's my favorite.
Kind of go back and forth. Sometimes I draw Batman with short ears, and sometimes I draw him with long ears. Although I have to say, I do kind of miss the gray suit with the oval and the bluish cape.
Yeah,
he's got so much armor now. I don't know what his costume is.
Yeah, it's not a costume anymore. It's a suit of armor like this. this to me is
I like that.
That's the classic Batman. That's the Batman I grew up with.
Yeah,
Right,
I don't.
right.
I can't recognize the artist exactly right now, but that's the way I like Batman. I like the blue shorts. You know, I could take it or leave it the yellow. I
agree.
I like it with a longer cape.
A lot of people our age also know the standard like Jose Garcia look, you know, which
yes.
Yeah, the Garcia Lopez look, sure.
Yeah, that's Batman is such a balancing act between goofy and serious, harsh and compassionate, and loner and a leader. Yeah, I'll talk about my feelings about Batman in a little bit. Yes, her son is okay.
I think
like long ears. I like long, but I agree. Kelly Jones it's almost like a character.
His whole style is that. I mean, he's got to have his own style, and I mean his Batman styles. You know, I love his Batman. I really do.
I think Batman's one of the characters in which the artist who comes on it is trying to do his absolute best work.
Yeah.
To everybody we can always like with Kelly Jones, Jim Lee, Graham Nolan, Norman Breyfogle, Jim Aparo, Neil Adams. You know, it all goes back in every David Finch.
David
Finch. I think he's the one I'm thinking of that does
he does. I can't. Yeah,
I think Greg Capullo does short ears too.
Yeah, he does.
This is my buddy Roy. Roy and I made a video a couple of days ago about Halloween games.
Oh,
a lot of knowledge here. Speaking of French, how does Batman do in the international stage, comic-wise, or is it a good question? Does anybody know?
I can tell you this: international stage, he does really well. Even from my visits to Japan, you can find Batman. They have a Batman manga. I mean, he's well known worldwide. You know, he's one of the most knowledgeable. You know, you show Batman to somebody will know it.
Yeah. So since we're talking about Batman, we have to talk about. So we talked about who his creators were. We talked about his powers are. He's peak human. I like it best when he's the best detective in the world rather than the
I do too.
Human tank. You know, I like a more human Batman. Somebody mentioned in the chat, and I'm scrolling to find the comment, but I can't find it. But Grant Morrison, here it is. Mike's Total Dragon Channel. It started with Grant Morrison and then it just snowballed. I have to agree that as much as I love Grant Morrison, I think you know how like John Byrne loved Wolverine and he made Wolverine the coolest, and David Cockrum loved Nightcrawler, made Nightcrawler the. Grant Morrison loves Batman, and then he made Batman like almost too much, the Bat God. And I don't know. I know a lot of people like it. Maybe I'm in the minority here, but I just don't like that.
When it comes to Batman, the way I look at it is he's the greatest, and it's always been this. He's the greatest detective that's ever lived, and he has the physical capacities that can come close to Captain America. I said close. I didn't say equal to. Right. I said close. That's the way I look at Batman. Other than that, he's got his gadgets and everything like that, and he's got his money. That's Batman.
Money is a superpower.
No. I mean, that's how he pays for his stuff. Is
I will say this about Batman. For my comic book philosophy, I mean, I talk about John Byrne every time I turn on the camera. I'm going to talk about John Byrne. And John Byrne, I don't think he invented this, but I think John Byrne made it popular. I call it the Byrne principle, is that the specialist is the best. So if Superman and the Flash are going to have a race, Flash has to win. Otherwise, what's the point of Flash? So Flash is the fastest. Superman, I know Marcus is shaking his head, but
no. I was thinking of something else.
But to my way of thinking, Flash has to be the like in DC. Dr. Fate has to be the best magician. In Marvel, Doctor Strange has to be the best magician. And like I like that Doctor Doom is the second best scientist, the second best magician. And it just fuels that I'll never beat you, Richards kind of.
For me with Doctor Doom, Doctor Doom is, in my viewpoint, the greatest villain of all time.
Oh yeah,
Doctor Doom's a great villain. You never get tired of Doctor Doom
because in his mindset, in his own mindset, he's not a villain.
Right. the best villains don't, right?
Right.
Well,
And
I don't think Luthor thinks he's a villain either, though.
No, I don't think.
No, but I'm saying Luthor is one thing, but Doctor Doom's on his own,
they made room
little
for the
pedestal
mind
over here. I mean, he really is. Because one minute he can be the most sadistic, evil person in the world, and then turn around and do something unbelievably good. And what I mean by that is, if you remember the crossover with Fantastic Four and X-Men with Kitty Pryde, he did all that good for Kitty Pryde just for one reason. I'm going to upstage Fantastic. I'm going to upstage Reed Richards.
Yep.
I'm going to do what he couldn't do. That's one of the things that drives him.
Right.
Well,
this is still Batman and Spider-Man. So
I know. But I just went down a rabbit hole. So I'm
just like Reed Richards has to be the smartest. You know, the Hulk has to be the strongest. You know, things like that.
Right, but with Luthor, I don't know. I think Luthor is the best villain, but because he also tries to do things that Superman can't do, or he tries to upstage Superman and do do things for humanity or whatever that Superman can't accomplish.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the difference between Doom and Luthor is just driven by jealousy. When it comes to Superman, he's jealous.
Right, but didn't you just say that Doom is also driven by jealousy? They're kind of similar.
No, I said Doom does stuff to upset Reed Richards, but other stuff he doesn't do that has nothing to do with Richards. There's a difference.
All right, but this is beyond this. We're talking.
Okay. We can leave that for another time.
Yeah, we can leave it for another day. Cool.
But
that'd be a good one for next week.
But my point is, what I was saying is that to me, the Byrne principle is Batman is the greatest detective.
Yeah.
So to me, Batman should be able to solve mysteries better than Superman, better than Reed Richards. You know, Reed Richards is and of course I'm interchanging Marvel and DC for this purposes of this. You know, like if Reed Richards comes up to like a crime, you know, he could do the forensics and stuff like that. But I think Batman would be good at the motivations and solving the crime. Otherwise, Reed Richards is like stealing the portfolio of Batman. So anyway, so I like that as Batman as the greatest detective. When Batman becomes the greatest ass kicker, to me, it changes what he is. I know other people like, yeah, Batman could beat up 80 ninjas, Batman could beat up robots and whatever. But I don't know. I don't want to read that comic book where Batman jumps down to the crowd and just beats up everybody, and then, you know, who did it? And then
I liked it. Adams and O'Neill wrote it where when Batman faced off against Ra's al Ghul, and he got in a situation he couldn't get. Because remember, in the story, Al Ghul put a gun up to his head and said, "I'm just going to kill you. Wasn't going to play games with you. Wasn't going to do like that. And if it wasn't for Talia, he'd have shot Batman right in the head."
Yep.
No, that really puts you on, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That really puts you on a plane of Batman's mortal.
Right. And I like one of my favorite stories that I always talk about was there was a detective called Joe Potato who was an old Silver Age character, and Batman, you know, they were trying to do that. Batman was the urban detective. He jumps down to solve a crime. Joe Potato was taken by surprise, and Joe Potato beat up Batman to the point Batman had to crawl into the Batmobile. And this was just an overweight, semi-alcoholic detective. And I always thought that was like a great story.
Well, Mike Total Danger says some of the same thing. And if you remember in the Neil Adams Batman, he used to get hit from behind every once in a while. You know, the Denny O'Neill, Neil Adams, he wasn't like, if there were a bunch of guys, he could get the drop on him. He like at the end of the comic, he wins, but he doesn't always win.
Yeah, Denny O'Neill was, when his writing is fantastic. I mean, he really could put Batman in situations.
But I'm calling it a little bit ignorant because like I haven't read a Batman comic. Well, no, I read some of Court of Owls. You know, and I took out Batman, White Knight, and all from the library. So I guess I have read some Batman stuff in the last few years. But Batman, White Knight, Batman was a moron in that comic. It looked great, but Batman was more. And the first story was a nice story, but it was really an SJW story. Rich people are bad, and Batman was stupid. So.
Yeah, I have a huge question of
Murphy's Batman is an idiot.
Well, yeah,
she doesn't really count.
So there's a few things I want to say. Somebody was asking about Absolute Batman. I talked about this with Rob just an hour ago. I don't care about all the other versions of any of the characters. I just don't care. Like, I'm a fan of these universes, and when they do, like, there's the absolute like Marcus, you were the first person to talk about White Knight Batman in a long time. Like, the Sean Gordon Murphy verse was going to save comic books, and now nobody's talking about it. All-Star Batman and All-Star Spider-Man was going to save comics, and now nobody cares about it.
The Ultimate Spider-Man.
But you know what I mean? And now Absolute Batman, this is going to save comic books, but I guarantee you in 4 years...
It's not. I can tell you right now, Absolute Batman is not going to save comic books. I mean, I enjoyed the book. Okay, I'll say this. I enjoyed the book, but to me, it's not. It's an alternate world Batman. That's right. All it is. And it's an alternate world. It's not my Bruce Wayne Batman that we all grew up with. That we all.
You read it, so you could answer my question then.
Yes.
First off, he's not rich.
No, he's not rich.
He's a carny. He's got blonde hair.
No,
and he's kind of dumb, right?
No, he's okay. First off, he runs a gym. He's built like he's built like
like that guy who plays Reacher.
He's built. He's very athletic, very like that. He uses where he hides and everything is like in abandoned skyscrapers that the mob control, but they don't have anybody living in it. Uses their own technology against them. He's pretty smart. I mean, he's an engineer. He's a good engineer. Okay. And he basically, the thing about it is, it's not him telling the story. It is Alfred telling the story. And Alfred, remember in the other stories we talked about that he used to work for British Special Forces and all that stuff? Yeah. That's where they get this Alfred from. That's where they get this Alfred from. This Alfred is not connected with Batman. This is like when Alfred first meets Batman. And he figures out who Batman is and everything like that. That's what the story's going with.
All right, but we got to pick up the pace.
But it's not, like I said, it is not my Batman. The Batman I read, the Batman I've got, oh God, how many issues is it? So like 1,000 comic books of Batman back here. My Batman goes all the way back to 1949. So yes, I'm a huge fan of Batman. I love Batman.
Andy Smith and Dennis had a good review this morning on their YouTube channel of it. They probably are not going to pick up issue 2.
So my point about the Absolute Batman is it's not Batman. It's like Batman, but it's not Batman. Like I said to Rob, if there wasn't a Batman movie in 5 years and then Absolute Batman comes out, we went to the movies and saw it, I think every one of us would be like, that wasn't Batman. Batman's a rich Bruce Wayne, so I don't care about Absolute Batman. If you like it, that's fine. I'm not angry about it or anything like that. But I want regular Batman comics to be good, And now they got Michael Straczynski and Jim Lee or whatever. So maybe the regular Batmans are going to be good. But I just feel like all of these alternate takes of Batmans, like these vanity Batmans, they're the hottest thing in the moment. And then 2 years later, we don't talk about them. We don't talk like again. The Sean Gordon. I got nothing against Sean Gordon Murphy. He seems like a nice guy. That's why they publish 3 Batman titles. You can never go wrong with Batman. I'm going to slug away at the Absolute Universe until I can't take it anymore. Spider-Man wins. He's got better jokes. Loeb and Lee. Oh, it's Jeff Loeb. It's not Michael.
Yeah.
So it's Jeff Loeb is going to be writing Batman?
Yeah.
Okay. I got it wrong. I thought it was the guy who did Babylon 5. Still we go. Okay. So the last thing we'll talk about is who is some of Batman's great villains. Herrenberg, you've been quiet for a while. You want to talk about any of Batman's villains?
Well, hasn't it really been established that the Joker, despite what we said about Doom and Luthor, that the Joker is really the greatest villain of all time? I mean, not just given that he sold $1 billion in a movie, but just as far as just iconic, pure like iconism of what evil, chaotic evil, shall we say, not lawful evil, chaotic evil is about. Just the chaos in the world as embodied by this guy who could really just do anything on a whim, for destruction or murder.
I got to agree with you, Marcus, James, and the chat. Please, people in the chat, pop in and say stuff. And remember, just I'll put the invite in it also one more time.
Well, it's got Two-Face, Penguin.
I was going to say about the Joker. I think if you ask the average person, I think Joker's probably more popular than Luthor or Doom. So
Yep.
I can't argue with the Joker being like
Exactly.
the greatest comic book villain, even though I can't stand the Joker. I just can't stand the Joker. I don't know why. The Joker was more popular than Batman a couple years ago. That's why they created Batman Who Laughs. I don't know. That might be a good point. That's exactly Joker. He wants to be the greatest villain. I just don't. What else? Anybody want to take another Batman villain?
I'm going to take. Okay.
Two-Face, White-Face, Penguin.
Oh, James had a character all lined up, ready to go. What were you going to say, James?
I was going to say Ra's al Ghul.
Okay, tell us about Ra's al Ghul.
Ra's al Ghul, in my viewpoint, is probably Batman's most dangerous villain.
Okay.
He has his complete underground. He's had Bruce. Basically, he knows who Bruce is. He knows everything about him. He basically had him a couple of times where he was going to kill him, but his daughter, she's got the hots for him, and all that stuff.
Now he's Batman's father-in-law, basically.
yeah, basically, yes. So, but I'm just saying, Ra's is probably, in my viewpoint, and he's my favorite villain, personally. So Ra's, for me, is going to be who I'm going to choose for Batman's best villain.
I gotta say, Matt Barr hits it. I think you were the one that Paul Giamatti as the ventriloquist. I want that movie. That is the best casting I've ever heard. He would be creepy and funny and scary, probably within a minute.
I think Bane is a pretty good, more modern Batman villain.
Bane is the most dangerous. I think what we're doing here is proving our point about how cool Batman is.
Batman's got a ton of villains, although some of them are ripped off of.
Hellenberg, I'm surprised you didn't say Catwoman.
Oh, well, I didn't have time. I was letting everybody weigh in. Catwoman and Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn, they're all like incredibly popular at this point, really. Right. And they could I look, just between you and me, I wish there would be a Gotham City Sirens movie, and that those three could be in it doing something, cool and sexy and full of action. But whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Don't tell Chibi Palmiotti I'm sick of Harley Quinn like you're sick of Joker.
I'm sick of Harley Quinn too.
Oh my gosh.
Not by herself. I wouldn't want her there by herself. I'd want her with the other two. Yeah. An ensemble cast.
I like the Paul Dini Harley Quinn. I like her as the lovesick gangster mall.
You can see what he's like without Paul Dini. What Harley is like without Paul Dini. She becomes a humorless Asian, terribly costumed. In the Cape Crusader. That's like the worst version of Harley ever. Like it's not even Harley.
Oh, really? I haven't watched the
Cape Crusader. Yeah, it's hard to watch because there's so much wrong with it. So there you go.
That's by Bruce Timm too.
Oh, there was one comment. There was one comment that I wanted to address. Anybody want to say anything while I'm scrolling for this comment, and then we'll switch to Spider-Man.
No, the funny thing was today, because I had posted earlier, was I was going through my autograph books, and I found Batman 500. And I forgot that Adam West had signed that book.
Oh, nice.
So I pulled it out and took some pictures and posted it earlier today.
This is the comment that I was looking for. Great Gold Worm. This is what gets me the most about the Tim Burton Batman movie, is that he blew up Axis Chemicals and then drove out. This was not only lethal but cowardly. Yes, that wasn't Batman. Batman drives in an armored tank, drops a bomb, blows up a building, and then drives away. That was the most un-Batman thing ever, to the point it pulled me out of the movie, and I'm like, I'm not watching a Batman movie. That, and he wore armor. And then in the second movie,
that's a lot more like Judge Dredd, actually.
Right. The second movie, machine guns come out, and he shoots machine guns. And then I'm like,
no, he had the machine guns in the first movie.
Oh, that was the first movie?
Yeah.
It shows you how much I was just like, I never went past the Penguin one.
The second movie, if you ask me, Michelle Pfeiffer made that. Oh,
she was gorgeous. She was on.
She made that movie so,
Yeah, Harley Quinn became a roller derby lesbian Deadpool ripoff. That's probably pretty good. All right, so we'll switch it to Spider-Man. Does anybody want to talk about Spider-Man?
Did anybody want to talk about Spider-Man? Peter Parker?
Okay, so
Sure.
we're going to go Parker. I think Spider-Man is the best normal person that gets thrown in a situation, and it's either sink or swim, and he thrives. That's basically Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is
I disagree with this comment. You know, even though it's a Batman comment, the animated series is I think the best version of Batman. But I'm sorry, James. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, we're talking about Spider-Man. I thought Spider-Man. When I was a little kid, it was either Batman or Spider-Man, but Batman. But Spider-Man was always the teenager, you know, living in the Bronx, you know, not rich, not anything like that, and going out being a superhero and getting powers. How would you act? And I thought, movie wise, the last couple movies they've got him pretty decent. But for me, in the comic books, I loved when they started getting him with Mary Jane. But I thought they fucked everything up when they decided to break him up.
Right.
That's just me.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about, like, first, I love Peter Parker. Like you said, he's a everyman, and he lives in Flushing, Queens. And the reason why I know that is because I met John Romita. We went to his house, and he was telling me the house that it was modeled after where he lived. You know, so he was showing me pictures. I'm like, I recognize this. What's that,
John? We need a crossover between Spider-Man and the Nanny.
Oh God! I hope Spider-Man beats the crap out of her. Her powers would be she starts talking and everybody collapses in seizures.
Yes,
I'm not even joking. If I'm, back when you had to like flick the TV, you didn't go right to the channel. And if I actually heard her voice for like a split second, it would ruin my day. Oh my God! She's beautiful. She's a good-looking woman. I'm not going to take anything away from. And what's the name of that? Her, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Fran
Drescher. I just thought because Flushing, Queens. That's all. It's funny.
There's a movie with her, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Tony Danza, and they're all in high school, and Fran Drescher is in it. And oh my God, she's incredibly sexy. But if to sound sexist and horrible. Just put a sock in it and shut up and just look great, because that voice, oh my God. And I know she exaggerates it because it wasn't that bad when she was in Spinal Tap. But Fran Drescher, yeah, there you go. Thanks a lot for derailing this whole conversation there, Herwinberg.
Sorry, I got you into one of those crushing scenes from Flushing, Queens.
I will say with Spider-Man, what James said is he's the everyman given power. Like he's us. And I think nasal F. Yeah, there you go, Randy. Oh my God. He's supposed to be us. And to me, like, it always bothered me when people said, I want my representation. If Spider-Man doesn't represent you, and when I say you, I'm talking about us as comic book fans, male, female, black, white, purple, Jewish, Catholic, whatever, then are you a comic book fan? Like, worrying about your grades, worrying about your bills, worrying about your responsibilities. Are these girls going to like me? Getting teased a little bit like that. That is all of us.
Living in a rundown apartment.
If Marvel is the world outside your door, then Spider-Man is the world inside your house.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The only problem with Spider-Man is somewhere down the road, he became too cool and he was good looking. I mean, at one point he's got Mary Jane, he's got Gwen Stacy, you know what I mean? Felicia Hardy. At one point, like, I think he grew past his original origin. But the original Spider-Man, it was kind of brilliant. What other superhero was like Spider-Man when he showed up? Like Reed Richards was an adult scientist.
Everybody was an adult. Everybody.
Right.
I mean, unless you went just with the old sidekicks like Robin and stuff, but still, Spider-Man was by himself.
Right.
Spider-Man didn't have anything.
He sewed his own costume, and you know what I mean? And
right.
he had to worry about change for the bus and stuff. I will go as far as to say that's
where he hides his costume and camera, like in a little web in the corner of a building.
Yeah, I thought that was such a nice touch.
Oh, that was a brilliant idea. I was like, I was like, how is he taking? Oh, that's right. He's setting up his camera over here in the corner, and that's why he's such a good photographer. He knows how to take pictures of himself.
And then he goes to work, and his boss yells at him.
Yeah.
Boss yells at him. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
The guy could grab Jonah Jameson and throw him a city block, but he gets yelled at. We all get yelled at by our boss. But I will go as far as to say that Peter Parker was going to be a supervillain because he got the power, and the first thing he did was he tried to make money. He tried to capitalize, and he was going like if you look the very first page, they're like Liz Allen's like, hey, go invite Peter to the party, and Flash is like, hey Pete, we're going to a party. He's like, screw you, Flash. Peter was an asshole, and then he's going, they don't understand me. I'll teach them. And this is villain talk. Was there any difference between Dr. Octopus and Peter Parker at that same age?
I think it was when the accident happened, when the situation happened with his uncle.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's the defining moment.
That's the switch that flipped.
That is, if not for Uncle, if like the story they did, what if Uncle Ben had lived? Peter Parker would be Dr. Octopus. Maybe later on he would have, after something, maybe he would have been a reformed villain like Hawkeye or Black Widow.
They did that story.
You can make a case that Uncle Ben is the most important character in the Marvel universe.
You can. Now that you made me think of it, you can because of all the stuff that Spider-Man.
Well, think about it. Didn't the One Above All actually bring that up to Parker?
Oh, did he?
When they had their talk?
Oh,
under the bridge?
I don't know. I can't remember yesterday anymore.
Because Parker was talking about, I'm not making any differences. Why am I here and all that stuff? And the One Above All was like, wait a minute. That's not true. And you had to, re-educate Parker of all the stuff that he went through and everything he went through and did.
Yeah. Spider-Man's best invention was the selfie. Yeah. We got to.
They did that story in What If Uncle Ben didn't die? Pat Broderick drew it.
Right.
And he became a selfish celebrity a-hole until something else tragically died. And by the end of the book, spoiler alert, and he regrets it, becomes a hero again.
I like.
And also at the end of the Ditko run, he was getting angrier and angrier as Ditko was getting more influenced by Ayn Rand.
Right.
And,
not 40 years.
He was like, hey,
60,
you hippies,
almost
get
60
the heck
years.
out of here. And then, I don't know if Stan Lee was really that comfortable with all that, but there was not much they could do. And,
I also agree with Randy over here. I like Spider-Man as a solo hero. I did not like him.
No, it's not 40 years, it's 60 years.
Yeah. The best version of Mary
Jane. Solo hero for the longest time.
The John Romita Sr. version of Mary Jane is my favorite.
I liked them when they first got married.
Yeah. The fans loved that. And I really, really was hoping that Spider-Girl was the official Marvel future. Those were good comics. Those were fun
Mayday
comics.
Parker was a very long-running book.
Mayday Parker, yeah, they made that to digest and it sold really well. I do not understand why they can that.
She could have been
Spider-Man. I will go on record as saying I thought Superior Spider-Man was a fun comic. I also knew it wasn't going to be the future. We all read comic books. They change things up for a year and then they go back to the status quo.
Yeah,
so I wasn't outraged. I liked it. I'm sorry?
I know people who like that, yeah.
Would Spider-Man join Osborn if Uncle Ben didn't die? Maybe.
He probably would.
Maybe.
If Norman paid him, right?
Think about the money with his degrees from college and everything.
Spider-Man's downfall was a clone saga.
Yeah.
At the beginning it wasn't too, and I had that original comic book, Spider-Man 149, where he dumped his clone into which is really cold, into the smokestack. It was terrible.
What's the name of that other Spider-Man?
He didn't think twice about it. Then it was just a one-off. It was just that story, and they had, the clone of Gwen Stacy from the whatever that villain, the Jackal, Dr. Warren.
Marcus, what's the name of that other Spider-Man? Ben
Riley.
Ben Riley.
Ben Riley, yeah. And he exists in modern comics. I think he's with
Scarlet Spider.
Yeah, he's hooking up with Hallows Eve. Like that's his girlfriend.
I like that. I kind of like that.
You can't get rid of a potential
Jansen run though.
You can't get rid of a potential sale, right?
They just made it. They brought the Clone Saga back, and it was supposed to be like a year, and then it was supposed to come out, and then it was really popular. So people on high said extend it. And so they extended it, and they kept extending. Glenn Greenberg has a podcast about this. He was assistant editor. You should get Glenn Greenberg on your show, by the way. I've heard him on other podcasts. He's really good.
Okay, let's talk about what are Spider-Man's powers? We all agree he has powers. He's not like Batman, who's just a guy.
He's got the sixth sense, the danger sense.
Right.
He's got unbelievable agility. He's got unbelievable strength. He basically can stick to anything.
Yeah,
walls, whatever. He can run up whatever they need to. That's basically it. He's got his web shooters, but he had to make those.
Right. So
he made his web shooters.
I'm going to say he's intelligent. He's very intelligent.
Oh yeah,
I think that Peter Park's supposed to be borderline genius.
Yeah,
he is. It's just he doesn't have the money and the facilities to do everything. That's the other thing I like about it too, is he's got to sit there and figure out how much money he can spend, because his rent's always late.
That's because he had to spend money on his chemistry set.
He's got tough with money.
Yeah. Now Mary Jane's the one that kept him in the house, because she was doing a modeling career.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, so I don't think Spider-Man gets enough credit for how smart he actually is, because he comes off as a goofball on purpose.
Well, that was Peter Parker. Originally, like you're talking about, Peter Parker was in high school. That was his outlet to be kind of like snippy and funny and a jerk to people, because he wasn't allowed to do that in real life. He was a bookworm.
Yeah.
Looked like Steve Ditko too.
Right. And I there's a few times where I remember he could borrow tech. There's a few times I remember him assisting Tony Stark and Reed Richards, and like Reed Richards would be like, this kid's brilliant, like James said, if
a bunch of things with the Fantastic Four.
What's that?
He's done a bunch of things with the Fantastic Four.
Right. Like I remember a few times Reed Richards, like, if this kid had the resources, he
could be dangerous.
A scientist, but he's not known as a Hank Pym.
I mean, it's like when he got rid of the black suit, he's going home in a Fantastic Four outfit with a paper bag over his head.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I thought that's perfect. That is perfect. I need a suit to go home with. Well, here's put the suit on. Okay.
And Spider-Man connects with all different generations, because my older one became really hooked on Spider-Man, the action figures, the 90s cartoon show. A friend of mine, he watched that over and over again, and he read all my Spider-Man comics, like from even the reprints from the beginning one to whatever they happen. And so he did have that appeal.
All right, so let's now talk about villains. Spider-Man villains.
Green Goblin.
Hey, Green Goblin. Tell us about the Green Goblin.
Did you say it first, Marcus?
Oh, you could talk about it. That's fine.
Okay. Green Goblin, Harry Osborn. Brilliant scientist, brilliant mind, but he's got that split personality syndrome. He's very chaotic. He's very megalomaniac. He's got his technology and stuff. And he's basically, when it comes to Spider-Man, he saw him as an anomaly that needed to be eliminated, in my view.
Yeah. He became almost obsessed. Like, that's almost his weakness, is he could just ignore Spider-Man half the time and be successful, but he becomes like obsessed with them.
Well, yeah, because it doesn't fit his normality. I've got this thing that doesn't fit right. I need to eliminate it, or I need to get rid of it.
My problem with Norman Osborn is, I as much as I love the Green Goblin, that is a great costume. They messed it up in the movies. You hire William Dafoe and you put that stupid Power Rangers mask over. William Dafoe's got one of the most distinctive faces in the history of the world, and then they covered it up with that stupid mask. It's ridiculous.
So here's my take on the villainy of Spider-Man. They're fun villains, but he really, really overloads on the animal themes. Like, almost all of them are like animals, essentially. Obviously I like Black Cat, but you got cat, octopus, vulture, lizard, I don't know, not croc. Wait, I'm trying to think of. There's a couple others too. Beetle. It just goes on and on. What?
The Rhino.
Rhino, exactly. I was thinking of Rhino. Man, I remember watching that Rhino episode of the '60s cartoon. That was really interesting. But Walrus Man. Yeah, it's just endless. Yeah.
We'll start with Marcus. We'll go around. Who's your favorite Spider-Man villain, Marcus?
I think it might be Doc Ock.
Dr. Octopus?
He might be the most dangerous. He's the most twisted.
You think so? He's more twisted than the Goblin, you think?
Yeah, well, he's more well, they're kind of 1A and 1B. That's one thing about Spider-Man villains. You could say which one's his most dangerous villain, and you could come up with 3 of them all about equal. Like
James,
Doc Ock was always trying to marry Aunt May, you know.
For me, it's
and all that, and he had the all those things. It was always a tough time for him to fight Doc Ock because he had the extra arms. So he was like the anti-Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a spider without the 8 limbs, but Doc Ock did have the 8 limbs. And I think that going to what Herrenberg said, I think Ditko and Lee not James Lee, on purpose.
Not a lot of people realize that James Lee and Steve Ditko work together on Spider-Man.
I think that
that would be a dream come true.
I think that was on purpose.
I think Marcus would love to do that too.
My wife just showed up with a tray full of burritos, of guacamole dips. So,
if you can't share it with us,
so she gets the honorific mention tonight. So, who would win in a fight, Batman, Spider-Man? My wife. There you go.
So, I think the Rhino was created by John Romita, though, not Steve. But they are all the Spider-Man's villains are anagrams for Spider-Man. That's why they're all mostly animals in some way. Although I did kind of like Electro too. I like that first annual where they all at the Sinister Six. Maybe one of the greatest annuals of Marvel Comics is that Spider-Man annual one with the Sinister Six and all those splash pages that Ditko having Spider-Man punch them all out in various ways. The key to Spider-Man as well is he always had to think his way out. As powerful as he is, he always had to outthink him. In Spider-Man #2 versus the Vulture was defeating him. This old man with super strength, flying, just could fly. He had to outthink the Vulture. He didn't overpower the Vulture. There was not many times when Spider-Man overpowered his. He always outthought them, and that was a key to his what he does, his popularity.
I love Razorback. Razorback was a hero, I thought, right?
He was a hero, yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I would like to say is maybe in this group, because we're comic book sophisticados, but I think in this, I don't think Ditko gets as much credit for these great designs on the original Spider-Man villains. Like Dr. Octopus, yeah, he's short and dumpy with those arms, but there's something so cool about it. Sandman with the green and black shirt, Ultra with that weird, think about it. They've been around since the mid '60s, and they change, but they always seem to come back
because they're just such. You're talking to me, the rogues gallery of these two heroes are great. I mean, you can't get better villains. I think. Superman doesn't have better villains than Batman or Spider-Man, and maybe the Flash has as colorful villains.
Well, I'll say
as these guys, but
Flash has the goofiest rogues gallery
like this.
I say that the Fantastic Four, Batman, and Spider-Man have the 3 best rogues gallery.
They have a bunch of villains. No, I agree, completely agree. And if you go back there, Dick Tracy has a great rogues gallery.
I never read Dick Tracy.
If we're going to talk rogues gallery, we got to go. There's 5 really. There's 5 main rogues gallery. 5. You've got Batman, Spider-Man, you've got Fantastic Four, you've got X-Men, and of course, and they do have a good rogues gallery. But when he brought up Dick Tracy, I had to jump in because yes, Dick Tracy, yes.
I'm not going to say yes or no. It's just through ignorance. But all I really know of Dick Tracy is that stupid cartoon with the flying garbage cans.
No.
No. I'm talking about the comic book. I'm talking about the
I know.
Really, I went back and read the comics, some of the comic strips. And Dick Tracy's villains, a lot of Batman's villains are ripoffs of Dick Tracy's.
Yeah, you can tell it.
And they are really a brilliant comic strip. And all those comic strips had great villains. So I don't want to get into all that, old comic strips.
Okay, so let's compare. Who's got the better rogues gallery, Batman or Spider-Man? Eric, I'll ask you first, because you've been quiet for a while.
That is a really, really good question. I would say maybe Batman, but just like by a hair, because the villains in Batman are more distinctive from each other. Like you said, Ditko kind of went overboard on kind of like the analog, not the anagram, but the analog to Spider-Man with all the other animal characters. So they're a little bit more similar to each other than Batman's villains are to each other. So I would give Batman the lead on that.
James, what do you think?
I'm going to go with Batman as well.
You go
As much
Batman?
as I love Spider-Man's Rogue Gallery, Batman's just got a more defined set of villains, and they're all unique. They're not, they all can stand alone.
Yeah.
And I think the way they're put together is so well done.
Many of them, here's the proof. Many of the Batman villains have had solo comic series, and you can't really name too many of the Spider-Man villains that have, even though there is Sinister Six, obviously.
We forgot that one of Spider-Man's greatest villains and Daredevil's greatest villain, the Kingpin. And he's the closest thing to a Batman villain. I feel like the Batman villains are slightly darker. Well, they're darker now. I mean, they're a little more dangerous, a little more criminal, and the Spider-Man villains a little more superhero-y with powers and costumes. And so it's hard. It's not quite an apples and oranges but they're not quite the same to be compared to, because Spider-Man has superpowers and Batman does not. So Batman have to be more regular people.
I want to call this. You don't like Man Mountain Marco?
I love Man.
You don't
Mountain
like Fancy
Marco.
Dan? Come on, man.
I love that Man Mountain Marco. What about Silvermane when they had him go back to being, before he was a baby, he just went away and Spider-Man walks away. Thank God Marvel reprinted almost all their comics in the 70s, only like 10 years after they were debuted. So they had Silvermane.
I clicked over this comment too fast. I didn't mean to turn it off.
Oh, yes.
The performance of the Kingpin in the Daredevil show is excellent. So good.
Fantastic. Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, he what a performance.
Eater.
For me, I personally like Spider-Man's Rogue Gallery better, but I'm not going to say that because I like it, they're better. I mean, the fact that so many of Batman's villains had comics, and to me, the test of like what's more iconic, a word that I can't stand, is if you walk down the street and you just talk to some random guy in a crowd, I think they could name more Batman villains, tell about their stories, even tell you their secret origins. It maybe their secret identities more in Batman's Rogue Gallery than nobody's going to tell you what Sandman's real name is, or Mysterio's real name is, or what, you know what I mean? So I
love Mysterio.
Oh, I love Mysterio. I
put him in a tryout pages I did once. Tryout story I did.
The Wrecking Crew is originally a Thor villain.
Well, the Wrecker. I think the Wrecking Crew's a Defenders now.
No, the Wrecking Crew is the Wreckers group. Pile driver. They were all created by Loki.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually did a Scarecrow piece, four page. Back in the
Scarecrow's a good one too. Yeah,
this was popular, but I don't know.
That comic where he finally figures out how to defeat Mysterio, and he punches Mysterio through the clouds. That Ditko scene is so good. There's certain things I can just remember like this, and I know some of those comics, and I wasn't even alive when it came out.
Yeah, don't forget the iconic rogues of the Mighty Crusaders, like the Eternal Smiler. No, the Deathless Smiler. Oh, believe me, if I could write a comic with the Crusaders, there would be the return of the Deathless Smiler. Just this guy who smiles and can't die. What a great, stupid villain.
Wait, Mighty Crusaders.
I have a soft spot for stupid villains.
Mighty Crusaders, that's the one with Fly and Jaguar and Shield and stuff, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And Fly Girl. I'm surprised you didn't mention Fly Girl.
Fly Girl, she's hot.
Okay, so I don't think it's a big controversy to say that Batman's Rogue Gallery is probably more iconic and popular than Spider-Man. But like Carol Berg said, maybe a hair. And if you disagree with me, it's so close. I don't even think it's worth fighting. Excuse me. All right, so now we're going to come to the hard part. So let's start with Spider-Man. Are there really that many different versions of Spider-Man? I will argue that Spider-Man has been pretty consistent throughout. It's from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, like with the few exceptions, of course, if he turns into Captain Universe. We're not talking about that. So I like the typical version of Spider-Man. Like, I don't know. I'm sure I missed an issue where Spider-Man picked up a lightsaber and used the lightsaber, but barring these one-offs, I think Spider-Man has been consistently portrayed more so than almost any other superhero.
Even with One More Day, like he's not that super different whether he's married to Mary Jane or not. Like he's somewhat, but he's not really that different.
We just started the fight RRT, so we're just finalizing the versions of Spider-Man and Batman.
The way I look at Spider-Man is there's Spider-Man, and then you have the black suit Spider-Man and Spider-Man. That's the way I look at it.
Yes, how stupid of me to forget the black suit version of Spider. Yeah.
But I mean, there's not that much difference. There's not really that much difference. I mean, yes, we got Venom out of it. But was Peter Parker Spider-Man like super enhanced because of Venom? I don't recall. Of course, I remember when they first did it. It was just because the suit he could go instantly with the suit. I guess they got tired of trying to figure out where he put his clothes when he swapped suits. So I think that was the reason why they did it.
Well, they changed those costumes then, and all Captain America became the Captain, the black suit Spider-Man. Thor got an armor because once again. It's all business, and it was all trying to protect the trademark in case they lost the trademark. As soon as somebody starts to sue, you'll see new versions of the characters.
Yeah, just like what they did with Superman and Batman, they got rid of the shorts and went with
exactly.
As far as the black suit, it was I didn't like it because I don't like change. Get off my lawn, I'm an old man. But my problem with it is the unlimited webbing. To me, took off one of the things that made Peter Parker cool and relatable was this. I need money to make this. It kind of like I call that a Marvel weakness. We can understand he doesn't have unlimited webbing because it's got to be expensive, and he's got to pay for bills. And he was a college student. So when they gave him the unlimited webbing, to me, it took a really good feature away from Spider-Man. That was my biggest problem with it.
I agree. Also, they eventually just gave the black suit to Julia Carpenter anyway. So
right.
Don't forget that
music
they retired Peter Parker for a time, and Ben Reilly was Spider-Man, and he had a different.
Of course, there's one issue where he does put the black suit back on when Todd was drawing him in 13. Spider-Man 13, he puts the black suit back on because he's having to do something down the sewer or something. He doesn't want to get the red and blue and dirty or something. And or it's damaged or something. He hadn't time to fix it. But it's only like a one issue, and that's it.
I want to give Oscar a nod. Oscar is working with me on. He's the colorist for the Mary Sue stories that I'm working on in Heroic Tales #2. He's also the artist and colorist for Eddie is Doomed. Oscar, I got to give you nods. Carrion is my favorite obscure Spider-Man villain, to the point where I was absolutely terrified of this character as a kid reading the comics. An undead lich that could kill with a touch. It was terrifying. So yeah, Oscar, I really love that Oscar knows his comics. Oscar knows his comics. Comics are better than movies because they can express more fun ideas. The type of villain. Yes, I've been saying for 20 years, and I'm going to even say that everybody on this panel, everybody in this chat, we wouldn't be here if we didn't feel this way. But you show me a movie, I'll show you a comic that did it cooler 20 years earlier.
That's why Jimmy Palmiotti calls them paper films.
Right. Oh, okay. I didn't know why. I thought it was because everything was a Netflix pitch.
That too.
Oh, you got
I just let Spidey evolve to the most superior when Peter had his company. Yeah. I also want to see Peter Parker become a dad with kids. You
got a super chat.
Oh, I got
in there was Renew Your Vows, which was a different version of where Mary Jane had powers and the kid and the daughter had powers. That wasn't Mayday. It was a different.
Well, they also did the Ultimate, that one that had Kimball's things where he does, he did get his family. He got Mary Jane. He has 2 or 3 kids.
Oh, okay.
So they did that. It was a short. It wasn't. It was an offshoot. Kind of like a what if. But yeah, they did give it to him finally. So.
I'm going to do a clobbering time. What's a better sauce? This sour cream, this guacamole, or this spicy Cajun mustard? I don't know, man. I'm enjoying my burritos. But anyway, RRTNZ says for $10 in New Zealand money, which I think translates to like Shire Hobbit food money. All the way Batman wins if he has access to prep time and anti-Spider-Man gadgets, armor, blah, blah, blah. He wins via psychological gambit that makes Spidey quit. Otherwise, Spider-Man wins in a physical fight. He had to jump ahead because he paid for the privilege, but we didn't get to the actual fight yet. But RRTNZ is a big Batman stan, right? Is that the correct word that the kids say?
Well, it's 5 years ago probably, but sure.
Oh, well, shows you, yeah. 23 skidoo, right?
Now they'll say he has. Now they'll say he has more Riz.
Oh, Riz. Okay, he's a Spider-Man Riz. I don't know.
Yeah, Spider Riz.
The black suit was an excuse to make a villain to somebody. I say that the black suit was a way to have a Spider-Man that they could keep in case of lawsuits, just like Miles Morales. Instead of a black suit, they made it black skin.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think happened was when they did the black suit, it was because they were worried about a lawsuit.
Yep.
And they wanted also to get to the point of, well, let's just quit trying to figure out where he puts his clothes out in the middle of the desert and just give him a suit that just automatically, appears and stuff.
Oh, I will definitely say, I will concede. Does anybody disagree that as far as classically trained or whatever?
I will say this. If Spider-Man lands a punch, it's over.
Well, I was just talking about skilled fighting. Like I think
skilled fighting, Batman was fantastic.
Batman is a trained, skilled fighter.
Yes.
I don't really think I've ever seen comics where Peter Parker was taking martial arts or anything like that.
No, it's just
he shouldn't breed.
I don't think he ever needed to take martial arts.
Because now he's so as flexible and agility as he is with the spider powers. He didn't need to take martial arts. He could do that wild stuff.
Right. With his agility, he developed. I remember in the Marvel universe, they said he developed his own unique fighting style.
Like I said, if Parker lands a hit, and I mean he really hits Batman
in a physical fight,
he's down.
Did they ruin Mayday yet? Worse than ruined her. They just forgot about her.
Yeah, she's in the memory hole.
So here's the thing about Spider-Man. He could take he's taken on the Fantastic Four, and way back in Spider-Man 1, they couldn't stop him because he was too fast, and he was too agile, and he bounced around like crazy.
I love this comment. The only way it can be settled is a Batmobile Spidey-mobile race. If it's New York City, I'm going to give it to the Spider-Mobile because the Spider-Mobile could go up buildings and go, where the Batmobile hasn't yet shown any, But I know Parker was broke as hell. I love these kind of goofy comments.
Yeah. But no, I really think if they got down to a fight, if Spider-Man all he has to do is land one hit.
We're not quite up to the fight yet. Spider-Man beats Spider-Man because Spider-Man is no technician. I'm just gonna when we get down to the bottom of the comments, we'll have the main slug. There's another adventure Spider-Man. He had more steady relationships than Batman. Okay, who's your we talked about Batman's favorite girlfriend. Who's Peter Parker's favorite girlfriend?
Mary Jane.
Mary Jane. I knew Mary Jane. Herrenberg, what do you think?
He has 2, and he should continue to have 2. By that I mean, but not that he should be cheating on anybody, but Mary Jane is Spider-Man's better half, period. But you should always have Felicia tempting him. She's the ultimate temptress in the Spider-Man universe.
Yeah, I love these comments. Marcus, before I say anything, what do you want to say?
Everybody knows what I'm going to say already.
I'm sorry?
Gwen Stacy. That was the one that he should have married way ahead of Mary Jane. Of course, they would never have done that way back then in the early 70s.
I like that the Mexican comics just said, "Nah, Gwen Stacy never died," and they
I saw
kept
that.
her alive and made Gwen Stacy comics. The Mexicans like, we ain't had.
But
Once
I do
you
love
cross
Mary
the
Jane
Rio
as well.
Grande, you cross the Rio Grande. Gwen Stacy's alive. Okay.
What about Deborah Whitman?
That's my favorite.
I knew that was your favorite.
So the problem with Deborah Whitman is she's too similar. She's basically like a female Peter Parker without the powers.
Well, true.
The problem, well, I agree. Mary Jane is the ultimate girlfriend for Spider-Man Peter Parker. Yeah. I actively dislike Gwen Stacy from day one, but Whitman, I like Deborah Whitman. You know why? Because she's the kind of girl I had chances with in college.
What I like
just
about
a nice girl. She wasn't the hottest girl in the world. She was sweetheart, and she was like nice, and she actually like maybe a little bit too like they went on one date and she was like, "Does he like me?" Oh, calm down a little bit, calm down. But I always liked her.
What I liked about both Gwen and MJ is that he didn't date them right away. He had to work into dating them. If you read the early 60s, Gwen didn't like him, and when they started college, I'm not sure. And and MJ was the party girl, and he eventually he had her ups and downs, and then of course MJ, the whole thing after she died, she came in he pushed her away, then she came back, and he asked her to marry. He said no. He figured out he was Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Like they grew these relationships. They don't do this now. They grew these relationships so they really do like Mary Jane.
Booty.
Mexican Gwen she's got a bigger bottom. Mexican Oscar, is it true? Oscar, you're the only one who could back that up. He was friends with MJ first, then they started dating.
I don't know. When Todd started drawing MJ, she got hot. I mean, he really,
Well, the first time they changed her hair in 20 years, so yeah.
Yeah, I will say this: if you go back and read the first appearance of Gwen Stacy, her first panel, her first word balloon, she says, "That Peter Parker, he's the only boy who hasn't given me a tumble yet."
Tumble.
I know they didn't mean what we think it means, but you know what? It means what we think it means. She was a bad girl who Spider-Man Peter Parker turned good. She was a bad girl from the other side of the tracks. So
you know what she said?
Norman Osborn, she was banging everybody.
Face it, Tiger. You hit the jackpot.
Right.
That was Mary Jane.
That's right.
Okay, we got confirmation from south of the border.
I imagine, Marcus, that nobody likes the Mary Jane. Well, the older version of Jackpot, the one the first version of Jackpot, I thought was okay, but I imagine nobody likes Mary Jane as Jackpot with the.
No, I don't like when like
I'm not crazy for that if they become superheroes.
No, it's terrible. It's
Mary
like
Jane
Dilates for Hero, but with like a slot machine.
I like the idea of Parker with just a normal girl, even though she's a supermodel. Normal girl, not superpowered, nothing like that. Just a normal girl, and he has to keep it secret because he could put her in danger.
She can have adventures, she can have adventures on the movie set. That was what that Mary Jane limited series was a couple years ago. Basically, her having adventures on a movie set. The light's falling. I remember the light is falling on me. I got to get out of the way. That kind of thing. But she should never have powers.
Marvel was flirting with the idea of returning back to what they called girl comics, and I thought it was a good step in the direction. I wish it lasted longer than it did. I keep trying to bring up this comment. Y'all sleeping on Betty Brant.
Betty Brant was robbing the cable. I
was just about to say that.
How old was Peter Parker? She's at least 25 years old.
She should have became a supervillain called the Cougar and attached,
Betty Brant.
Things were so much simpler back then.
Oh yeah, as a villain. Oh yeah, what's your power? She seduces superheroes for what?
Spider-Man gets dunked
the virginity. Yes.
But and then she gets it with Ned Leeds, who's not a fat Hawaiian kid. Ned Leeds was like a cool secret agent, and gets killed. Is he still dead? Is Ned Leeds like the only character besides Uncle Ben who's still dead?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Possibly.
Hobgoblin.
Batman only beats Superman. Batman beating Superman again. Kryptonite.
Has to have kryptonite.
That's kryptonite.
Gwen finger cuffs Stacy. So I do believe that what's his name, Norman Osborn did some gobbling. When her first line is Peter's the only reason she was interested in Peter was she was the only guy who didn't give her a tumble. Go read the first appearance.
Yeah, I
they
remember
both
that.
have plot armor. Yes,
but one of the best ones ever for Mary J is when she talks about having some fun in the bedroom, and then you walk in and she's all webbed up on the thing with missing part of her clothes, and she goes, "This is not what I had. Wait a minute. This is not what I had in mind. Wait a minute." And then they cut to the scene because we know what's fixing to happen. But that's when they're married, But they had a romping love life in marriage. So
yep,
more power to them.
Like your boy Zach always says, they were on each other. Back in the '90s, Mary and Pete and Mary were on each other.
I remember when they first did it, when Peter was still mourning Gwen Stacy. Now he mourned Gwen Stacy for at least a year in the comics. Could have been have been 2 years in real life, right? And Ross Andrew do it, and he's yelling at Mary Jane, and he's kicking Mary Jane out, and Mary Jane starts to leave, and she turns around and goes back in and closes the door. There we go. The comic ends. What did you think happened?
Yeah.
Even at 10 years old, I could have figured that one out.
Yeah, and then when McFarlane's drawing it, you have her, they're in bed, he's trying to wake up, and she's like, "Oh, I'll get you up." And she takes, from the backside, she takes her top off. You're like going, "Yep, we know what they're fixing to do."
If let's be real, if Gwen hadn't died, Peter would never. Yeah.
No, never.
Yeah, if Gwen would have never died, Peter would have been with Gwen. Yeah.
They would be together. And like I said, my headcanon, I can't believe I said that horrible term. She was a bad girl that was going to go play with Peter Parker, but then fell for him. Like it was almost like her own, like it was like a redemption arc of
it was her redemption arc.
I'm sorry?
It was her redemption arc.
Yeah, it was her redemption arc. Yeah.
But then unfortunately she took a tumble. So
and then the Green Goblin gave her a tumble. Yeah.
I think only Harrowberg mentioned Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat. So.
Yeah.
And that was a big
deal. Felicia
too.
is, in my view.
Hello, Elizabeth. Good to see new names. Thank you for showing up tonight.
She wants to be Parker, but she doesn't want to be wife. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think, when Felicia and Mary Jane actually came face to face, and that was a good little argument that was going on.
I can't validate it, but I do have memories of Peter and Liz Allen dating for a little bit.
They dated a little bit.
Yeah,
but not for long.
Dated everybody.
It wasn't for a long time.
Peter dated every girl. Betty Brant, Glory Grant. He had the black girlfriend for a while.
No, he didn't date her. I don't think he really dated her though. Did she? Did he?
I don't think so.
He never went back, so maybe he didn't date her. Unless Batman gets prep time to develop specific weapons to counter massive physical, it's over. If they meet by surprise, oh wow! I really thought RR was going to be a hard in the paint for Batman. Exactly. Superman has a radiation suit protecting him from kryptonite. He better. Batman always gets prepped. Yeah. Okay. So everybody's chomping at the bit for the fight. So let's get to the fight. I love this talk about does Spider-Man have super speed? He has super agility.
He's also got
light speed.
He has super speed. He's not the Flash, but he is super speed.
He's fast.
I forget what it was, but I think the Marvel Universe said that he had the highest agility in Marvel. Like maybe
proportional strength and speed of a spider.
Yeah, his agility and strength is incredible.
Stan recycled the Betty plot with Gwen, Betty's dead brother, Gwen's dead father, hating. Yeah.
And I still remember because I've got the issue where Spider-Man and Superman meet, and he hauls off and hits Superman, and then he turns around and goes, "I think I broke my hand."
Yeah. I know I said we were done with the girlfriend, but I think if I was to write Spider-Man, I would have definitely have had a story of Peter like, Betty, are you hitting on me? Like you're older, you're old enough to be my aunt,
But his aunt in the movies was hot.
That was Marissa Tomei, right?
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man. Marissa Tomei's hot. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, she's very hot.
Yeah. Spidey always holds his strength. Well, most superheroes hold their strength. Ben Grimm doesn't go in and punch people. If Ben Grimm went in and started hauling ass. They'd just be blood.
You're going to fight Batman. I mean,
There's blood everywhere.
Don't hold back, because you hold back, you're done.
That's
okay,
like
so okay, so now I started this and then I stopped. So we kind of agree that Spider-Man has been pretty consistent, with the exception of the black costume. And even the black costume didn't really change him too much, other than he didn't have to worry about web shooters. But it didn't give him 70 tons worth of strength. It didn't give him flight or fire abilities. So we can pretty much say that any version of Spider-Man is consistently the same Spider-Man. Batman, we have to clarify which Batman are we talking about, because I think Batman has been very inconsistent. So,
I would say go with Neil Adams. And
Neil Adams Batman is the Neil Adams. I'm going to say the Neil Adams Batman up until Grant Morrison, because I love the Chuck Dixon Batman, which is the same as the Neil Adams Batman, which is the same as the Aparo Batman. But even the 50s Batman was, he was pulling shields out of his utility belt and had rocket ships, and you know what I mean. So
my oldest autograph book is a early, I think it's like 112 of Detective Comics or something like that. So Madoff signed it for me before he passed away. So
right, we talk, the Spider. We're not talking about the exceptions.
We're not doing that one. No. Yeah. I mean, I hit the Hulk so hard I put him in orbit. Nope, I don't think we're going to do that one.
So we can agree. So I'm going to say that I'm going to say Detective Batman, and then I'm going to say the Morrison Batman. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, that'll work.
So
I think that's fair.
So let's start with the Detective Batman. Okay. Anybody? So we'll start with the scenario of Spider-Man. It's easy to set this one up. Spider-Man is always mistaken as a menace. He's inside the bank. He just chased away some goons, and now Batman shows up. Thinks Spider-Man's the bad guy. We got Batman Detective, and we got Spider-Man.
Superhero misunderstanding. Yeah,
right. Classic. So anybody want to? Marcus, you want to start this?
Yeah, I think that Batman doesn't know what to do with Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man will beat Batman just because of the powers. The power discrepancy is too much. I understand that, Batman always has prep time. Yeah, I understand all that. But the power, it goes back to the same thing we always have with Batman, though. Batman will lose the first time because he doesn't understand all the powers, and Spider-Man can lift 10 tons and jump rings around him and web him up. But the second time Batman wins because he knows all the gadgets he needs to defeat him. What if Batman didn't have his gadgets? He loses every single time. He doesn't have the powers. In theory, Captain America without a shield loses every single time the Spider-Man as well. Or Daredevil. They just equal it up when they fight him so that they forget how fast and how strong Spider-Man really is.
Yeah. Again, we're talking Detective Batman. So
okay.
So James, what do you think?
On this one, you're inside a bank. Batman shows up. He sees Spider-Man. Okay. Advantage is Spider-Man's all the way through. It's confined space. Spider-Man can easily move around. Starts webbing. Batman's down. It's going to be that quick, that fast, because he's not expecting to see Spider-Man. He's expecting to see regular thieves. After he's down, Parker's going to talk to him. He's not going to beat the crap out of him or anything like that, but he's going to put him down. So Spider-Man, in this scenario, Spider-Man wins hands down. There's no way Batman, one, he's not expecting Spider-Man, he's expecting thieves. Two, with that area like that going in, Batman's down.
Herrenberg, you want to say something? I want to talk last.
Yeah, so I think the opposition to the prep time, which Batman would not have in their first meeting, like you said, is that Spider-Man is really good at outthinking. So even if Batman did try something, Spider-Man could possibly outthink any spontaneous gadget that Batman just tried. But yeah, I agree with James. That's funny. I agree with James. No, Spider-Man has the spider sense. He'd kind of know in advance generally what Batman would try. So yeah, it's gonna be Spider-Man in their first meeting. But then, like you said, if Batman also because they would talk and they would resolve their superhero misunderstanding fairly quickly. But then Batman would go home and he would say, well, here's another superhero that I have to fight against just in case he turns evil, like he's on the wrong side of Secret Wars or something. And so he would.
That's the Grant Morrison Batman. I think Detective Batman wouldn't do that.
Okay.
But I agree with you. The Grant Morrison Batman would come up with an anti-spider sense mist. Like,
yeah, I mean, the moment there's an unknown in Batman's world, he has this compulsion to find out a way to counter it and defeat it. Yeah.
So I think okay. So in my scenario, Spider-Man needs to get into the vault to get some sort of ingredient to cure Kirk Connors of being the Lizard. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he's literally breaking a vault open and whatever. He doesn't have the time because whatever.
Or maybe he's curing Francine Langstrom of being the woman.
Right. Batman. Yeah. Batman is in this. Yeah. So, so now they get into this fight. I don't think there's anybody in this particular situation. Batman doesn't know. I don't think Batman could. Detective Batman is he's just overpowered. There's no way he's going to win. And I would say Detective Batman loses every time to regular Spider-Man unless Detective Batman says, I'm going to, I hate the concept of prep time, but unless Batman's like, I'm going to plan a scenario where I'm going to beat this guy and goes out and hunts down, then I could see the only way he could, and even then it would be rough because Detective Batman isn't the godlike Grant Morrison Batman. Now, Grant Morrison Batman, what do you guys think?
I'm not that familiar, so.
Oh,
I'm still going to go because again, he's coming into a situation where he's not expecting Spider-Man. He's expecting bank robbers.
I like this comment. The fight would be a reenactment of Spy vs. Spy.
and again, Spider-Man, spider sense, agility, strength, webbing, the whole thing. It overpowers Batman.
Right. I would say even the Grant Morrison Batman gets beaten by Spider-Man. Now, again, prep time that everybody seems to allow Batman and not everybody else. The Grant Morrison Batman, it's not a chance. If the Grant Morrison Batman could come up with schemes to defeat the Flash and Wonder Woman and Superman, I think the Grant Morrison Batman, if he's like, I'm going to put all my resources in it, because if Mysterio could come up with a mist that could counter the spider sense, I think the Grant Morrison Batman could.
Right? Does Spider-Man have a? I'm sorry. Does Spider-Man have a weakness to gas, for example? Would that knock him out?
Well, as much as everybody has a weakness to gas,
Spider-Man
needs to breathe.
But I wouldn't you think that maybe even Detective Batman would have a capsule of gas or something to defeat anybody?
Yeah, but Spider-Man still,
Again, it's.
I mean, he's got that utility belt for a reason,
right?
Again, how are they meeting? I mean, if it's a one-off, and Batman's expecting a bank robbery, he's going in as a bank robbery, and he comes across Spider-Man, it's a hold'em ballgame.
But I will say this: if we allow Peter Parker prep time to go up against an unknowing Batman, Batman's paced.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? So if I always get this thing like Batman's the only one who allows prep time. If you give Moon Knight prep time, he's going to take out the Fantastic Four sooner. You know what I mean? Because they ain't dummies. So you give Spider-Man prep time. This guy's a genius. This is a guy that even Reed Richards was like, he's this guy's smart. So Batman with prep time wins. Spider-Man with prep time wins. If they both have prep time, like they're told, you guys are going to fight. I couldn't even imagine the scenario with it, but
if Batman's got prep time to study Spider-Man, he's going to win.
Right.
But in this scenario that you just gave, there's no prep time. He's coming in and Spider-Man's the unknown.
Right. Well, if he buys plants the Spider Slayer, so then that's not bad. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a good thought experiment, but most of Batman's contingency can't. Yeah. So I don't know. So the way I think, the Grant Morrison Batman to me is dull. I don't like the Grant Morrison Batman. Like I would never, if I flatter myself if I was ever offered to write Batman, it would be returned to the Aparo, Neil Adams, Denny O'Neil, Chuck Dixon Batman, like a guy who's local to Gotham. He's stopping bank robberies and TV set heists and muggings and occasionally a villain. And then I'd say like Batman would, he's the same guy that's in the Justice League. He's the same guy that knows Wonder Woman in the Green. I also think he would not be this obsessive loner. That to me, that Batman would be like, I got to do the right thing. Sometimes the right thing is contacting Hal Jordan because I'm out of my league. You know what I mean? And I think that's the Batman to me that's interesting. Like he's human. He's a detective. He's not the greatest fighter. He's not Dr. Contingency. He's not a wizard. But I got to say, if we're going to use the Grant Morrison one, who can he beat? And that's almost Mary Sue territory, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I agree. Any thoughts?
No, you hit it right on the head.
Yeah,
I think so.
We got a bunch of people in the chat. Does anybody think I'm being completely wrong? Does anybody think I'm being? I think I'm being fair. Anybody?
I mean, over the years they've come out with greater and greater dangers for Batman. In the '90s, even now, the Court of Owls, where he does really have to. He is defeated for a while. They do. It's not always. He's not always the Mary Sue, but they do act like that.
Yeah, I like Eric the Guapo. He's been giving some pretty good comments. Batman's best stories are against villains on his own scale within. Yeah, to me, Batman is a local hero. I think he works best as a local hero, and I also understand that that's because in the 70s and the 50s and the 60s and 50s and 60s rather, Spider-Man was taking rocket ships to Jupiter and stuff like that. But that to me, that's almost a different character. Like the Batman from the Super Friends was flying to different galaxies. I don't,
Yeah, back in those days, they were trying everything they could to push their characters into almost godlike status.
Okay.
Batman doesn't have one thing. Batman doesn't have. He doesn't have the press antagonistic against him in Gotham. Like there isn't someone at the Daily Planet constantly writing articles about him or something. I know that's in Metropolis, but
yeah.
Whereas in Spider-Man, you got like Triple J is just obsessed with taking him down or building the Spider Slayer. So I think good press will actually be on Batman's side instead of Spider-Man. Good press, yeah.
You just made me think of something. That would be kind of an interesting story to see Batman somehow influencing the news, like either through the Wayne Foundation.
That would be interesting. Now, I will say one of the best stories of Spider-Man was when they thought Spider-Man had died, and J. Jonah Jameson wrote the obituary.
Oh, really?
If you hadn't seen that, if you haven't read that book, because J. Jonah Jameson realized that he was wrong about Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's kind of a recent development, right? Now they're like buddies.
It's
right?
a few years back, but
it's funny because a few years back I quit Marvel in 2015. I'm almost 10 years out of the loop. So
he saw what happened. He saw what happened.
It's kind of an interesting development.
He was like, I was wrong. And he rushed, and that's a beautiful obituary. It's beautiful. It'll make you cry.
Yeah, but I will eventually catch up on Spider-Man and Batman.
But like I said,
I kind of miss it.
I don't remember what issue it is, but yeah, he actually saw Spider-Man sacrifice himself to try to save. I can't remember if it's some kids or something like that, but J. Jonah Jameson actually witnessed it and thought.
I want to address what Eric says. Batman wins because his power is I win. You pretty much hit the nail on the head of how people treat Batman.
Do you guys remember that long Dan Slott? You might remember the thing where Peter Parker became basically Elon Musk and created that cell phone.
Yeah,
that was kind of weird.
Yeah, that was not good.
and then that ruined everything. And then he was more than destitute. Like they made him more than destitute.
Yeah,
basically homeless. So it was like way too much of this and way too much of this.
So chat, what do you think? What do you I don't know. Like, of course, I hate the comment. Whoever the writer wants. Yeah, that comment is like less than useful.
What does Peter David want?
But I was thinking next week I wanted to pick the topic again. It's not Halloween; it's the day after Halloween. But I was thinking, how about for next Friday we do werewolves versus vampires, and that'll be it's clobbering time.
Wasn't that solved in the movie Twilight? No, I'm just kidding.
glittery werewolves,
non-sexy werewolves versus non-sexy vampires.
You are going into my territory of kind of expertise because that's actually what I write in my novels.
There you go. There you go.
Like I said, if we go into that, oh boy, it's going to be a long one. But I'm going to ask you guys this for next week. Favorite vampire movie?
Yeah, we'll talk about all that kind of stuff.
And favorite werewolf movie?
I'll see
next week. Hold it for next week.
I'll invite Brian Bow, see what he has to say too.
Favorite vampire movie and favorite werewolf movie.
You got to play, John. You got to bring some Nosferatunes to play in the background.
Oh, there you go.
He did the Monster Mash.
Yes, and Bela Lugosi's dead.
Because I'll say this: may you rest in peace. My distant cousin was Christopher Lee. So.
Oh, really?
Yes. So
Robert Kirkwood, Wolfman versus Morbius. Clarion the Witch Boy versus Brother Voodoo.
There you go.
So we'll talk.
That's the Marianne
versus vampires will be a good story. We'll talk about it.
So this was fun. This is 2 hours.
Nice.
I thought it was going to be more. I thought the Batman stands were going to come out back. Batman wins. But excuse me. I don't know. I'm happy with the outcome. I think I was fair. I think we thought about it from every angle.
Who in the DC universe?
My favorite was definitely the Spider-Man's girlfriend segment of tonight's episode.
Would really be connected to be equal to Spider-Man because he's got all those different powers. He's kind of in between. He's not the super powerful Superman. He's not the no powered, Batman. He's somewhere in the middle. Who would actually he line up with? It's the powers that overdoes it. I mean, obviously Batman could defeat it. Batman versus Captain America. Then we're talking,
Batman 66 versus Batman 89. Adam West would start doing the Batutsi.
Oh, I love Batman. The Batutsi.
And then Tim Burton would drop a bomb on him.
I met Yvonne Craig once.
This question is seriously, if you want to know the answer to this question, read the comic Wrong Earth.
I read that comic
by Tom Pyre and Jamal Engel.
I have met 3 actors who have portrayed Batman. I have all autographs. So I've met Adam West. I met Christian Bale. And I met Michael Keaton. Nice. I have all 3 of their autographs.
Correct.
And yes, awesome. I did meet Julie Newmar and Michelle Pfeiffer.
Nice. The only one I'm jealous for is Julie Newmar.
Yvonne Craig. I met Yvonne Craig.
Oh, nice.
She was really nice.
Oh, Yvonne Craig. Wow. Everybody talks about how great she was.
So I'm going to shut this down now. It's an hour. I think this was fun. I actually thought it was going to get heated more than it was. I absolutely loved the Spider-Man girlfriend portion of tonight's talk. So thanks a lot for that. That came out of nowhere and made me laugh.
Whatever a spider can, that's for sure.
Yep. What's on Sunday Comics?
Sunday Comics, I don't know yet. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. But message me if you have any ideas. But next Friday is the day after Halloween, so we'll do werewolves versus vampires. Thanks a lot, everybody.
And don't forget to catch me tomorrow on Don's Drawstream.
Oh yeah.
I might be on there. We'll see.
So come join us.
I don't know what I'm going to draw.
I think I have to spend at least one day a week with my wife. She makes me trays of burritos and everything. So there we go. Aunt May beats anybody. She's like the toughest lady in all of comic books.
This is what I drew last week on John's Drawstream. On Don's Drawstream.
Oh, Frankenstein.
Yeah. There you go. I don't know. Maybe I'll ink it tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to draw something. Yeah, he drew that.
I finished on Don's Drawstream.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll ink it.
I gotta get that scan for Don to come.
On this note, I think it's time to go.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.